I think that it's a good thing because I feel like a lot more people will be able to identify with SWANA instead of just identifying with white, even though they don't actually do. Because it's kind of hard, like the fact that beforehand they had to put white, it's kind of restricting them, and like race and ethnicity is the person's choice, so restricting them to that is not the best representation to show, like as a use, like being UC Berkeley, it's supposed to be a place of diversity and like acceptance, but then with that like limiting, that kind of pulls away from that. So then I guess this extra box will help expand like the diversity and all that.
I mean, I think that's pretty awesome, but honestly, I don't think they should be even taking race into consideration when people are applying for college. So I don't really think that they should be asking that question in the first place, because it shouldn't really matter. They should take a look at the person's GPA or their personality and stuff like that instead of their race.
I don't know. I mean, like, it's hard to reconcile the fact that race is still an issue in the modern world with the fact that it's not really like a scientific concept, and the more we sustain it ourselves, the longer it's going to continue to mean something. At least it seems that way. But then also, you know, it's just when everyone gets special, I guess, I don't know, attention from people who understand their individual concerns. So I don't really know.
Okay, great.
I think it's a great idea. I think it's overdue. I think people should be able to self-identify on these census recording information, data analyses, any way they see fit, and to have to be compelled to mark white when one is not, and one does not self-identify that way. That's an absurdity to me. So I was surprised that that even existed on the list there. And there's another issue that has to do with African identity. And if you're going to say someone of North African descent is compelled to identify as white, in a lot of ways redefines African history. So I have a lot of trouble with that designation, that someone of Middle Eastern descent is compelled to identify as white. So to loosen up, people's ability to self-identify is always going to be a good thing and a healthy thing, and part of a process of acknowledging the world demographics as they are right now.
I think it's good just because I'm, like, myself biracial, and so I always kind of get offended if it's like, check only one, and I feel like both don't really apply.
Right.
And so I would see that that could be really frustrating for someone who is strictly Middle Eastern and they still don't have their like specific category which they can identify with.
I can understand where that would have certain qualms with certain people, and I do acknowledge that they should have the right to identify as specifically what they wish to identify. With regards to Northern African, I do have a little slight grievance with it. One, because I think that historically North Africa has been very separated from the rest of Africa, specifically sub-Saharan Africa. And with regards to history itself, specifically Egypt, people use this North African Maghreb countries to separate, to Europeanize, to Westernize those regions, and separate them from sub-Saharan African countries as more intellectual people, more technologically advanced people. And I think that division breeds a lot of hatred. Secondly, I do realize that as a North Africaner, if that's even a word, but as a person residing in North Africa, the specific, what would you call it, like bubbles that you can fill in don't really adhere to those people because it's African American / I think like African or something along those lines. And I understand that many people may not identify that with that, so I understand that they do have a right to sort of demand that separate ethnicity grouping.
But like by checking, you know, like by checking white, it's like you have no cultural identity at all. It's like you're just white. I don't know. It's annoying. It's not annoying because I'm not aware of any ethnic identity because I am white. But it's like you have no culture, kind of. Like what is white culture? It's just culture. It's just American culture.